Hello, this is Sondra Oster Baras, and I'm bringing you a few words of the Bible from the heart of Biblical Israel. This week's Torah portion is Shlach, and it begins with Numbers 13, and it tells the story of the sending of the spies into the land of Israel in order to explore the land and bring back a report to the nation on the eve of their entry into the land. Now, of course, everything goes wrong. When they come back, they bring a bad report. God is indeed very angry, and he punishes the entire nation. They will have to continue wandering in the desert for a total of 40 years, and only the next generation will actually enter the land, with the exception of Joshua and Caleb, because they, unlike the other 10 spies, stood aside from that report. They will go into the land themselves, and in fact, Joshua will lead the nation into the land. What I'd like to do is focus on the exact words that the Bible tells us about the report so that we can see exactly what was the problem. And I read from verse 27. This is what they told him. We came to the land you sent us to. It does indeed flow with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the giants there. Giants dwell in the Negev region, Hittites, Jebusites, and Amorites inhabit the hill country, and Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. Okay? Now, already, immediately following this report, in verse 30, Caleb is already responding. And he says, let us by all means go up, and we shall gain possession of it, for we shall surely overcome it. Okay? So first of all, we see Caleb initially jumping in because he realizes that there's a problem here. However, if you look exactly at the text of what these spies are saying, there's absolutely nothing false about what they say. They say the land is indeed a beautiful land, flowing with milk and honey. This is its fruit. And in fact, we know they brought these bunches of grapes, huge grapes. So indeed, they show it to be a fertile country. And it does talk about the problems. The people who inhabit the land are powerful, they're forfeited, there are giants, etc. And it then goes on to say about some of these massive nations and the powerful nations and where they all dwell. Everything here is absolutely true. Why then does Caleb interfere at that point? And the answer to that question really we see in the very next verse, in chapter 31. But the men who had gone up with him said, we cannot attack that people, for they are stronger than we. Thus they spread calumny or slander about the land among the Israelites. Okay? And then they said, we cannot go up. Okay? We cannot go up. And then they started talking about the land itself. Okay. We have here in verse 32 a very important statement that the Bible is telling us that they spread calumny, they spread slander about the land. And this indeed is their sin. They came forward and they said bad things about the land. But at what point did they say bad things? When Caleb responded to what they said, there was nothing false about what they said, and there was nothing problematic about what they said. But clearly, Caleb already understands the tone. He's there, we're not. All we hear, all we can see is the black and white, the words on the page. What we're not hearing is the tone. From Caleb's statement, where he's immediately saying, he's trying to say, we're going up, don't get excited. Clearly there's something about their tone that is preparing the way for their final and indeed problematic statement, where he says, we cannot go up. The statement, we cannot go up because they are powerful than us, this is where they sin. Because it is at this point that they go from reporting facts to reporting opinions, assessments. And the critical problem with their assessment is that they forgot to take God into account. True, a bunch of ragtag people who have just been released from slavery, who have not had the chance to put together an army, who have experience with battling one nation at this point, the Amaleks, and that was quite a miraculous victory that they have. No experience, no war, no army. So when they have these facts before them, that they're going into a land of fortified cities and major powerful nations, it is very clear that they are going to feel on their own that they cannot possibly succeed in conquering the land. But if they take into account God's promise and God's help, and if they had had faith in God, there would not have been a problem. So therefore, the problem here is not about reporting the facts. It is reporting the judgment of those facts. It's the fact that they're saying, this is a land that we cannot possibly take, we cannot possibly have, and they forget about their faith in God. And I think this is a very powerful lesson that we need to take with us today. We are living in a time where, unlike these 10 spies, there are people who are literally saying terrible things about Israel and the land of Israel. They are lying. They are slandering us. They are saying things that have never happened before. But there's also something else about the way people are slandering the land of Israel. It's not just that they're saying Israel today killed 10 people when that's absolutely not true. The bigger problem is when they mixed the partial truth, they mixed the truth with only a partial picture and skew the perspective, skew the judgment. When they say today, Israel fired rockets into Gaza, killing 3 civilians. When you report that and you don't say, in response to an unprovoked attack by Hamas, sending terrorists or sending rockets into Israel, sending 3/4 of the country into bomb shelters. When you give a fact without the proper perspective, without the proper judgment, then indeed you are slandering the land. Now, we don't expect anything better of our enemies, but we do expect much better of people who love the land of Israel, people who are a part of the nation of Israel, and people who are supposed to have faith in God and understand that when you talk about Israel, you have to keep God in the picture and you have to represent the whole picture. Thank you very much and have a Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you enjoyed that video, and we'd like to be sure you're getting all of our video content. So just click on the subscribe button below as well as on the notification bell, and that way you will have easy access to all our material. We look forward to staying in touch with you. God bless you and have a wonderful day.